During the festival, there are pieces of music that get played that nobody's really familiar with. When they get to the end of it, the audience has no idea that they've gotten to the end. And it's like, and where I sit, just outside the hall, I can see the music, and I know there's no more music. So frequently, I'll actually leave the applause.
Madam Clerk, has anybody signed up for the citizens forum?
No, they have not.
Okay. First order of business.
A public hearing, zoning sidewalk cafes, ordinance amending Chapter 17.82.
Councilor Camacho.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is a public hearing in the zoning of the sidewalk cafes where we extended sidewalk cafe zoning to Broadway in the R10 residential zone. For clarification, we did move it from Chapter 1782 to 5-98 where it currently exists, and this is basically a formality where we'll have to have two readings to delete what is in 1782.
Okay, is there anybody here to speak to the issue?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to close the public hearing at this time.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the deletion of Chapter 1782 sidewalk cafes.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to delete the former language. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
The consent calendar.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the consent calendar in its entirety with the exceptions of items A, B1, B4, 11, 12, item I, and item 13, which has been withdrawn by the applicant.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Minutes of the June 24th, 2015 and July 8th, 2015 council meetings.
Councilor McLaughlin.
Madam Chair, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to continue the minutes of the June 24th meeting until our August 26th meeting.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Application for a special event license, Brick Market Merchants Association.
Councilor McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to take this occasion to point something out that I think needs to be corrected. We're being asked to waive something which I think we're being asked because there's ambiguity about what the ordinance actually says. It says that a special event license is valid for 1 day or for any period of time not exceeding 14 days. Well, we're actually being asked to go beyond that, but I want to just point out the fact that if you ask 10 people what it means not to exceed 14 days, 5 of them will tell you that's 14 consecutive days, and 5 will tell you, well, it's any 14 days all over the place. I think we need to look at the language in this ordinance and clarify that so that everybody gives the same answer. And right now, I don't think we're getting the same answer. So having made my comments on that, I will make a motion to approve the request to waive the ordinance in this instance.
Second.
There's a motion second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Application for a special event license, Pyro Engineering Incorporated, DBA Bay Fireworks.
Madam Chair, thank you. I just want to take this opportunity to, in a sense, ask, what do we do when people shoot off fireworks and they don't get the permit? In some ways, I want to thank David Ford for actually applying for this, but I think there have been some instances this summer when we've been, given the opportunity to see fireworks, but I don't think they got the permits, and what do we do when they don't do that?
This is the first I've ever heard that people weren't getting permits on it, so I'm not sure anyone was aware of that. Well,
So we call you up?
sure, sure. Wasn't aware that was occurring.
I just think back, when I hear the fireworks, I'm thinking, I don't remember approving fireworks tonight. So hopefully we do something when they don't, but
Sure, we'll have a discussion about it.
I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
There's a motion and second, discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Application for a special event license, Rye Cares DBA Rally for Recovery.
Counselor Leonard.
Yes, thank you. I have a question. Is there anyone here from this organization? Yes,
Yes,
please.
please, come to the front, and your name and address, please.
Thank you.
My name's John Brett. I'm a psychologist from Newport Hospital. You want my home address?
No, that's-
Yeah,
that's
Newport
fiction.
Hospital's my address.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Colleen Carpenter, and I work for Anchor Recovery as an ED coach in the Newport Hospital.
I have a question that basically deals with logistics. In the application, it states that the expected attendance is around 250 people. And the reason I'm asking is, it's a residential neighborhood. Half of Wellington is residential sticker parking. And we find quite often that cars are parked there for long periods of time, so there's very few places to park. So I'm asking you, have you made accommodations, or have you thought about the parking issues?
I have not been talking with RICARE about this, but I was at the rally the last few years, and to be honest with you, I didn't see the application, but I think 250 is really high. We've been having this rally this will be the 4th year, and we've ranged from 100 to about 180. I've never seen it get anywhere near 250. I don't know if that makes any difference. For one thing, last year we had it at the Emmanuel Church. Most of the parking lot was blocked off, so if you know, that's on Spring and all those.
Correct.
And there really wasn't any problem. A lot of people come together. And if we get the same number of people we had last year, I mean, I know the parking in the Kings Park area. I can't imagine it would be an issue. If there's something special we can do to load the deck on that, we'd be happy to do it, but judging... I'm
Maybe
sorry.
it's part, I mean, I don't know, but maybe part of it should be that, I don't know how you make invitations, but maybe encourage people to carpool or something, because it can be really
Yeah.
tricky down there, and it can be,
Yep.
you know, there's also the yacht club, and people, there's just not much parking there at all, and there's no parking on one side of the street
Right.
going down, so.
Well, we do basically put the word out through the recovery community, so we have the ability to kind of do that, and so we can really encourage people to carpool if that will be helpful. Again, given that and what we witnessed last year on Dearborn Street, I can't imagine, but we can do that, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other
you.
questions of the applicants?
Make a motion to approve.
There's a motion to approve.
Second?
Motion second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Application for a special event license, Alzheimer's Association DBA Walk to End Alzheimer's.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Counselor Leonard.
I also did for a similar reason. This is a walk, and the participants are 700 people. It's a busy Sunday afternoon from noon to 3 o'clock. And after speaking to the city manager, I'm going to make a motion to continue while this discussion goes over with approval and with the police chief.
Yeah, actually, we mentioned it in the pre-meeting, but I might as well pass
Can you?
these out relative to the police chief's recommendation that came in late this afternoon. And the police chief is recommending an earlier start time. and hence the need, and that's not worked out yet, and hence the need for the continuance to see what happens. So if I could perhaps approach and submit these for the council
Motion
record.
to receive, Madam Chair?
Second?
There's a motion and a second to receive. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
So just to summarize, we're continuing it to negotiate an earlier start time.
Continue to the next meeting.
Okay. I make a motion to continue.
Second?
There's a motion, I thought we made a motion to continue already.
Correct.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did we vote on it?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Is there a second on the?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Application for a special event license, Gray Matter Marketing, DBA Newport Night Run.
Madam Chair, this following application has been withdrawn by the applicant.
Okay, is there a second to withdrawing?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
City of Newport, 8th Annual Performance Report, year ending June 30th, 2014.
Councilor McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to take this opportunity to acknowledge that, this is an excellent little resource, and it's evidence of the excellent work that's being done by our finance department. There was just one thing that struck me as I was reading it, and that is some of the goals that are supposedly council goals predate the time when I was first elected to the council. I think the council needs to commit itself to actually sitting down and reviewing the goals that we're using and make sure that they're still current and they reflect almost every time a new council gets elected, that it reflects the goals of that council. So I think we've got some work that needs to be done, but the finance department's doing a great job. I make a motion to receive.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Discussion. I just would like to echo the comments from Councilman McLaughlin. It's year in and year out that they have really performed very, very well for the city, and we're very lucky to have the team that we have in finance. So are we ready to vote?
Yes, ma'am.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Public hearing, secondhand license, Beth Lauby Pistone, DBA Maison DNA, 64 Spring Street.
This is a hearing. Is there anybody here that would like to address the applicant or this application?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to close the public hearing and approve.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Application for a sidewalk cafe license expansion, Fastnet Inc., DBA The Fastnet, 3 to 5 Broadway.
Okay, this is a motion for a sidewalk cafe license expansion. I move passage.
Second?
Second?
There's a motion and second. Discussion. Yes.
Madam Chair, Turner Scott representing the Fastnet. Before the council votes on this, I'd like to offer an amendment to the plan. I've spoke to my client. We recognize that we're the first one on the Broadway reconstruction to ask for this, and we'd rather be the poster child for what's right rather than what could happen, what could go wrong. And we've looked at this application and looked at the plans, and although we think it will work, we're not certain, and rather than jump into it, what we'd like to do is amend the plan to remove the 4, in restaurant lingo, the 4 two-tops that are there on the outside, the southern side, the north side of the establishment, which is on the, and you can see it on the plan, there's 4 seats, and we'd like to remove those, but maintain the 4 tops that are next to the building. Just as a matter of historical note, the first sidewalk cafe license that was given to the Fastnet when it was Aiden's had all 4 on both sides. Over the years, my client didn't use the 2 on the west side, so we're hoping to be able to sound out or feel out how this works with 4, And then if it works, if we want to put another 2 there, we'll come back and ask you for the other 2 or 4, whatever, wherever we feel can work. But we'd rather have this work right the first time, be able to feel it out. So if you would, if you're going to approve it, we'd like you to approve it with the amended plan, and I'll get an amended plan to the clerk to show those 4 tables removed at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion at this time to amend the application to remove the 4 two-tops.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Counselor Leonard.
I'd like to commend your client for thinking forward and wanting to make sure that it works so that others would benefit, and that was very big-minded to come up
Well,
and
it's
do
come
that.
with some suggestions from others, so
Thank
he
you.
appreciates it, though.
Okay,
Madam
and-
Chair?
Yes, Counselor McLaughlin.
I want to take this opportunity to just make some general comments. As Mr. Turner has pointed out, this is the first,
Scott,
Scott, you know,
sorry, as long as the check says Turner Scott, we're okay.
do you paint photographs, paintings? I think I've seen them in museums in London. He's pointed out that this is the first application we have under the Broadway streetscape. And just as I suggested with respect to the special event license, you know, when I read the ordinance that deals with sidewalk cafes, I think it might not be a bad idea if we just went and read that and thought about what does it mean, and what does it mean as we go forward? Because up to this point in time, in most instances, when we've granted a sidewalk cafe, we were talking about how we would divide up 10 to 12 feet. And we reserved 6 feet for the pedestrians, and the establishment got what was left. And in most instances, that might not even be 6 feet. We're now going to have situations in which we're dividing up a much larger space. And I think it's important that we not forget that first and foremost, a sidewalk is for pedestrians. But rather than, you know, hassle over that, and I commend this change here because it provides us an opportunity to go back and look at the whole picture. We need to be careful that we are doing it in the best way possible. And I think that calls for, you know, a review of the ordinance itself. And I don't have to worry about this tomorrow, but, you know, next spring on the 1st of April, when all of these sidewalk cafe licenses get renewed, hopefully we will have refreshed this and clarified any ambiguities that are in there. And I'm just going to raise one because, again, ask 10 people, what does it mean that you have to have food service along with alcohol service? And I've sat here and heard people say, well, obviously you have to buy food and then you can get a drink. But there are people who would say, oh, no, the restaurant serves food, but it doesn't necessarily have to serve it at these tables. I think that's an ambiguity that we should clarify so that, as we all know, we have no bars in Newport. We just have restaurants that serve alcohol. But I wouldn't want to see our sidewalk cafes in any part of the city be turned into an extension of a bar rather than an extension of a restaurant. So, thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Are there any other comments from the council? Okay, hearing none. Made a motion to amend, which was seconded. Okay, on the amendment, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve as amended.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Appointments to boards and commissions.
There are no appointments this meeting.
Communication from Michael A. Carullo, Director of Campus Safety and Security, Salve Regina University, regarding the proposed Salve Regina University student shuttle.
Would Mr. Carullo please come forward?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. My name is Michael Carullo. Let me put this up a little bit. I am currently the Director of Safety and Security at Salve Regina University. Some of you have had the pleasure of working with, others of you I haven't. I come to you tonight not only as an employee and a member of the Salve Regina University community, but I also come to you as a retired 22-year police lieutenant here in the Newport Police Department. I'm not here to delegitimize anyone's concerns. I'm here to speak to you about a system in which I believe benefits both the Salve Regina University community and also the residents in the city of Newport. If I may, Mayor?
Sure.
I'm here this evening to present a new campus shuttle proposal, and I ask you for your support. Over the past decade, the on-campus resident population at Salve Regina has increased. At the time of this publication, to over 1,200 students, that has now reached over 1,300 students based upon our latest enrollment on campus, most of those students being in their first year. As a result of this, the need for transportation for these students, both on and off campus, has risen. Our current system has become not only inefficient, but also unsustainable to provide this service to our students in a safe and appropriate fashion. The university recognizes that over the past year, the number of students driving their own vehicles and walking to and from downtown has increased, especially during those late hours of the evening. The proposed shuttle would help alleviate both motor vehicle and pedestrian traffic coming to and from campus, thus decreasing the level of noise and vehicular traffic on our city streets and preventing our students from taking those known shortcuts from downtown and back onto campus through our neighborhoods. It's the intention of Salve Regina to work with the city and our neighbors and to provide the least intrusive means of transportation for our students. As a result of this, the university has developed a campus loop proposal consisting of 11 on-campus stops and 4 off-campus stops, utilizing 29 passenger minibuses, 32 feet long and 10 feet wide, 10 feet high, substantially smaller than a standard 45-foot school bus or 50-plus foot motor coach. The proposal is that these shuttles operate 7 days a week, Sunday through Wednesday from 7 p.m. to midnight, and Thursday through Saturday from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. The reason for those times is the students currently utilize Rhode Island public transportation and the trolley system, which circumvents our public streets within campus and also downtown. That public transportation ends at 8 p.m. The at-will taxi service, which we currently have in the on-call 15-passenger vans going from place to place, again, has proved unsustainable at this point and not an efficient operation, certainly not for our students. We've outgrown that system. Over the past several months, I've taken the opportunity to speak with offices in the city, the police department, engineering, the solicitor's office, Rhode Island Public Transportation, Public Utilities Commission, as well as the Bellevue Avenue, Ochre Point Avenue Neighborhood Association. Myself and Christine Hendrickson from University Relations sat down with the Neighborhood Association because they were most potentially impacted with the shuttle route that we were proposing at the time. We weren't sure, due to through streets and no through streets and commercial vehicles at that time, if we were going to have to go to the city and make requests on one-ways or to modify or make an amendment to any of those ordinances. As it turns out, via email correspondence with the city solicitor's office and speaking with the traffic services unit at the City of Newport Police Department, we were able to make the determination that the no-through commercial vehicle ordinance did not, in the solicitor's opinion and the police department's opinion, did not apply to us. Therefore, we did not constitute a through commercial vehicle because of our property on Gamble Road at Conley Hall. The only means of access to that property, as you know, is off of Annandale Road between the brick pillars on Gamble, giving us the opportunity to access Conley. We understand and we agree that these full-size charter buses that have been bypassing the legal routes for tourists and these buses that come into town, we understand, and we know these full-size buses travel down Annandale Road and the other no-through commercial vehicle streets by ordinance in this city. We see it. We experience it ourselves. They pass by my office often on Webster Street, which is another no-through commercial vehicle. We find ourselves trying to assist them in making the turn from Webster onto Lawrence behind our office and behind the Rogers Recreation Center. So we do recognize, that is a problem with those vehicles that do not have the right to access those particular streets. But in our opinion, in order to provide a service and to utilize a resource, a university resource, to provide safe and appropriate transportation for our students at Conley Hall, we believe that we do not constitute through traffic. Operating after 7 p.m. does not impact the times of mass congestion due to university operations and rush hour traffic on Annandale Road. I can speak, again, through 22 years of experience, that the majority of the parking on Annandale Road is during the daytime and is during the summertime. I drove here this evening on the way here, and I counted 11 cars parked on Annandale Road on the way here from the university this evening. I appreciate our neighbors' concerns. I appreciate the fact that this may not be a completely ideal situation for everybody in the city. I ask for a balance, though. We have attempted to achieve a balance. We ask that, we don't believe that the addition of a university shuttle to Annandale Road or to any of the roads in our immediate vicinity, and requesting that for a lawful purpose, we don't believe that that is the issue at hand here. Again, we're trying to provide this opportunity for our students. We're trying to provide adequate transportation, and we're trying to do that in a way that best suits the needs of not only the university, but the community with the least impact possible. I ask for your support. I ask you to review and recognize the city ordinances that are in place for what they are and what they stand for. And I also ask you to recognize the fact that the university has always made an attempt to work with the community and to collaborate with one another to reach a common goal. So I thank you very much, and I ask you for your support.
Yes,
Madam Chair.
questions for Mr. Carullo?
I just have a quick one to start. So within an hour, how many times do you see this shuttle making a loop?
The campus loop is Sunday through Wednesday.
Yeah.
It is a 30-minute, approximately 30-minute loop.
So the shuttle would travel down Annandale twice in an hour?
The way it's proposed is the Student Government Association at the university has requested that we essentially bifurcate the evenings. They are asking that the shuttle stay on campus from 7 to 9 p.m., only on campus, and that they travel off campus and provide that off-campus transportation from 9 p.m. to midnight through Wednesday, and then until 1 a.m. on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So to answer that question, it would be a two-part answer. Would be that until 9 p.m., the shuttle would pass through that area approximately every 30 minutes, and then Thursday through would pass through the area approximately every 20 minutes, and then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, when we incorporate the entire loop, it would be passing through the area approximately every half an hour.
All right, so 3 trips per hour for the first part, and then 2 trips per hour in the later part of the
That's
route.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just ask, how far is Connolly Hall from Narragansett and Annandale?
I would guess that to Narragansett Avenue from Gamble Road is, including Gamble Road, has got to be approximately a quarter of a mile. And unfortunately, the Annandale Road, although there are sidewalks on Annandale Road, the lighting isn't the best. Gamble Road itself, as you're aware, the university installed lighting, street lighting on Gamble Road last year or the year prior, within the last 2 years, to assist in safe pedestrian traffic and our students walking to and from Annandale Road to Connolly Hall.
Madam
Yes, Councilor Leonard. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll go
Was it
first.
Leonard? Sorry.
I appreciate your efforts on this. I think that this is a good program. However, I am concerned about the traffic in certain areas, and one of them is Annandale Road. I'm the Second Ward City Councilor, so I represent that area. And this summer, probably 50% of the complaints I've gotten this summer has to do with traffic on Annandale, on Freebody, and on Middleton Avenues. And that buses are actually traveling on these streets. And this is something that is of great concern to the residents. So I just don't think I can support the Annandale part of this route. I think that it's too many passes through. And I mean, how many students actually live on Annandale?
There are 45 beds in Conley Hall. That is now an all-female residence hall. 45 beds and 41 parking spaces at Conley Hall. I do appreciate the concerns for the buses and the complaints and the congestion on Annandale, especially during the summertime.
It's very difficult because people are trying to bypass Bellevue Avenue. So, and now, will this program be going on in the summertime, or is this just a school year through the school year?
Yes, this is only an academic year shuttle system in campus loop proposal. This would not run from the day of 1 week prior to commencement, so approximately the first week in May. It would stop until approximately Labor Day weekend, that Monday or Tuesday of Labor Day. So for the months of half of the month of May, June, July, and August, in most circumstances, the first week in September, the shuttle would not be in operation. Not on a consistent basis like that, in that route.
Chair?
Yes, Counselor Leonard.
I want to praise Salve for running their trolley system, their shuttle, because I think it's been successful, and I think that it's a safety issue for all concerned, considering past history and accidents and so forth. I do share the concern with Counselor Segley, because I too, even though it's not my ward, get many calls, especially about cut through of Annandale and Freebody. And I can tell you that this council in general has discouraged, and actually we've worked on ordinances to prohibit buses in residential zones because of the impact on the residents and the quality of life. And I think people deserve to have that good quality of life. I have to say, too, that I think this is part of a bigger issue, which is that we have many venues telling bus drivers, and I'm going to call them rogue bus drivers, to use residential zones for their big buses. I get complaints all the time about big white buses in the midst of residential zones. They can't turn around. There will be an accident. And I think that the city needs to enforce those ordinances. And I think that this would be one more level of the Annandale part of another level of traffic. I don't really think that a 5-minute walk from Narragansett to Conley Hall is so bad for students, because I know we talked about the safety factor, but I also worry about groups of people getting off buses in a residential area like at 1 o'clock at night, and kids are kids and they congregate. So I have to say that I would totally support this, except I don't want to see the Annandale stop. And
Madam Chair.
I would amend it to remove the Annandale stop.
Madam Chair, I'm in support of what Councilor Leonard has said. I mean, based on the complaints that I have gotten over this summer, and it's, you know, I think that it's really a year-round problem. I think that the Annandale stop is going to be burdensome.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Counselor McLaughlin.
I would like to get some clarifying information. Will the buses leave Annandale and go down Gamble Road to Connolly?
No, they will not.
So the students at Connolly will already be walking from Connolly Hall to Annandale. The Annandale from Parker to Narragansett, I don't think has parking on either side of the street, and therefore the passage of buses in that area is not as nearly as much of a problem. I guess I'm going to say something a little critical, and that is you reached out to one neighborhood to find out how they felt about it, but you didn't reach out to the people who live on Annandale. And, well, he's the one doing the talking, Christine. If you want to come up.
Christine, come on up.
If you want to come up. Would you like to address that
Your name
comment?
I would have liked to address that. I'm sorry I didn't come up earlier with Michael, but the reason that we reached out first and foremost to the Ochre Point Bellevue Neighborhood Association was because they were the association that was most impacted. At the time, we discussed reaching out to Annandale. The overall plan, and as Mr. Carullo spoke to you, we weren't sure how the process was going to play out. The overall plan was to follow a process similar with Annandale that we did with the actual influx of students into Conley Hall, where once we were certain where the stop would be, what the process would be, we were then going to send an invitation to Annandale Road residents to meet with students and the university to discuss the shuttle system, to identify any problems in advance, and to set up a system for reporting incidences where the neighbors weren't happy. This is a neighborhood process that worked very well when we had students first coming into Conley. So that was our long-term plan. At the time that we were implementing this, we didn't realize we would have to follow this process. So the plan from my office, Operating Community and Government Relations, was to always contact the Annandale Road residents once everything was firmed up and settled through the neighborhood newsletter that we do, and also to encourage them to meet with the students in Conley Hall when they were back on campus.
If I may continue,
Yes,
as the counselor who worked with Salve to set up that community meeting in Conley Hall, and it was a great success. You did a great job, and as you know, your neighbors worked well with you. But we haven't done that yet with the people on Annandale, and I think we have some issues. Annandale's a narrow street. Most of the other streets that you've looked at, those people don't necessarily park on the street or have any parking problems. The people on Annandale, many of them have to park on the street. And I'm not thinking about summer traffic, I'm thinking about snow piles on either side of the road. So there are some issues here that need to be addressed. I have a procedural question I want to address to the chair first, though, and that is, what are we expected to do tonight? We have no resolution before us, so if we're going to approve it, we have to make a resolution, or a suggestion at the opposite end of the dais has been that we should amend it, or my own feeling is that I think we should continue it and invite Salve to reach out to the people who live on Annandale. Bring your bus down there and show them how it will work. But secondly, I want to suggest that you consider changing your route so that it goes back down to Bellevue, up Parker, and then turns right onto Annandale, which would keep you off of the section of Annandale where there is congestion with parking. And it would not significantly increase the walk of the students from Conley Hall, because you're already asking them to walk from Gamble to Annandale. I think it would be a little bit longer than 5 minutes to get from Conley to Narragansett, but we'll get them all Fitbits, and they can get points for doing the walking. But I would there may be some other ways we can approach this. It may well be that if you reach out to the people on Annandale and you show them what you're really going to do, they'll say, well, we can work with this as long as we're going to be working together. But I don't want to, my sense is we should continue this for 2 weeks and give the university an opportunity to consider some other options. I think your plan is great. I just have one other suggestion. You need to stop on Broadway. We got to get the buses up to Broadway.
But just to answer your first question, the idea was to accept the communications. I realize there's going to be changes. I realize that several of us have talked. I've gotten calls about Annandale Road too, and I think the problem has been exacerbated by tourist buses, I know trying to get to different activities, and I use Annandale with the car, and I had to pull over to the side. I couldn't get by. That's not what you're proposing. Your vehicles are smaller. But I do think it has to be vetted with the Annandale Street, Annandale Road community, because we all have been receiving these phone calls and kind of firmed up. The intention was just to give us an overview, so just to accept the letter, but not in resolution form yet.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Councilor Neville.
I just want to bring up just a counterpoint too, though. I think we do have to acknowledge that we have a female dormitory that is somewhat isolated, and we have to take responsibility for making sure those students can travel at night safely. And I think this shuttle proposal could help with that. When I thought about it, if you're talking about 2 trips an hour, I'm not quite sure if that's that much of a problem. These are smaller buses. So I just want to bring that up. It's not like every 10-minute shuttle bus that's going to be going back and forth on these streets. We are just talking about once every 30 minutes, except for the other part that was
And we are
3 times.
talking later hours where
Right.
there's not that kind of traffic that you get, prior to sunset.
So I just wanted to weigh in with that counterpoint. We do have to think about that. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Councilor Leonard.
I go back and remember the whole history of Conley Hall going way back that I'm not going to go into. However, as a result of the conversations we're having here, I would just like to say I would like to see the city do something about the big bus vehicles on those streets, because I think resolving some of that would make it easier to have some kind of a transportation system that gets all of these or many of these vehicles out of the residential neighborhoods. And I think that you've attempted the first step to do it. You've been a good example of doing that. But I think the issue this summer has been critical, not from Salve, but just from inundation of commercial vehicles.
Madam
Any
Chair?
other? Yes,
Just,
Councilor
I have a
Camacho.
couple quick questions for you guys. Let's see, well, as a matter of procedure, Madam Chair, I'm just wondering, would it be best to receive the communication, refer to city administration for a recommendation for our August 26th meeting?
Well, I think it's important we discuss what the issues are that we have as a
Okay.
council with the phone calls
Right.
to let them know.
Okay, because building on Counselor Neville's point, this is an all-female dormitory. I would like, the intent is correct to have this up and running by Labor Day weekend of this year. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that would be September 7th. Our next meeting would not be till September 9th. I wouldn't want that.
August 26th.
Right, well, August 26th, so could we make, I want to make sure that we can make a final ruling, put this into place. I don't want to kill a good idea because of a few details that I'm sure we could work out over the next 2 weeks. So I guess my question right now is just, from a procedural standpoint, do we kick it to administration, they bring it back as an action item that we can vote on with an accompanying resolution, or
By next
is that
meeting,
by next meeting?
I think that works.
I would just like to say one quick thing.
Go ahead.
I'm with Councilor Neville. I think there's definitely a public safety issue, since it is a female dormitory. And, there's no secret, we have some major traffic issues, which in the next resolution that is going to be discussed with Councilor Leonard and Segley and myself, I'll bring up some of those points. But I don't see this being a huge contributor to that problem, especially when we look at the hours, that are being considered here. So I'm pretty much going to support this, and I'm ready to do so at any point.
If I may, Mayor?
Yes.
A couple of things, if I could just expound upon. The public safety issue is obviously our number one priority. I mean, the shuttles are certainly a convenience. They certainly are more efficient than what we currently have. But to speak to the pedestrian traffic on Annandale Road, there are no sidewalks between Parker Avenue and Annandale. The sidewalks start, matter of fact, I don't believe they even start at Parker heading north. I believe they're even beyond that. perhaps closer to Slocum Street, which is actually where Gamble Road intersects. There is dirt under the, along the accompanying, the adjacent fences and stone walls on the shoulder of the road, but there are no sidewalks. In addition to no sidewalks, there is lighting, but the lighting is often not adequate enough for safe pedestrian traffic due to the fact that all the trees are there. It really blocks a lot of that. We most certainly took a lot of this into consideration in developing this proposal and developing this route. Much of what we considered also is not only the pedestrian traffic coming to and from downtown, but that particular stop at the end of Gamble Road. If we dropped off at the end of Gamble Road, there are drivers that are in direct communication. Those drivers are in direct communication with the Office of Safety and Security. They have radio communication. If there are ever any issues, like Christine stated to just now, there will be policies in effect. There will be reporting procedures for neighbors, which we'll make them aware of. There will be reporting procedures for students on the shuttles as well as the drivers on the shuttles to alleviate or mitigate the potential of those disruptive behaviors. These buses will also be equipped with a GPS mechanism identified known as Safe Stop. It's a mobile application feature known as Safe Stop. It is the first in New England. What it does is it provides predictive arrival times for passengers on this bus equipped with this particular equipment. That alleviates and nearly eliminates the congregating and the loitering and that unnecessary downtime of students or passengers on these buses from sitting and waiting for these shuttles to arrive. They are able to identify, again, through predictive arrival times and mapping, exactly when that shuttle will be on the stop that they choose. We're the first in New England to have it. Universities, public, private schools. It started down south, it's made its way up to New York, and Salve Regina University is the first here to have it. And I know that our local buses are also looking into having and installing this equipment so parents can utilize and identify the safe, when their children safely arrive at home, and identify the location of those buses. So long and short of it is, safety was our #1 priority. Preventing that disruptive behavior and trying to work with our community friends, obviously, and our neighbors is also right at the top of that list. I would ask that we be provided the opportunity to move forward with this, continue our communication and our efforts with not only the city and the council, but also our neighbors, including the Annandale Road Association, and work through things as we have proven that we've been able to do in the past. There has never been a time that Salve Regina, in my 22 years here in the city, that they have slammed the door on a neighbor concern or a concern from the city. I ask that we be permitted to move forward with this and address these concerns quickly and adequately and to the benefit of everybody here. This is an academic year program. It is not a summer program. And again, I do ask
Mr. Carrillo, what I would ask, and Christine, is to meet with the Annandale neighbors to get back to administration, and then administration can advise us and prepare a resolution for next meeting. But I think you heard the concerns that council have and people have relayed to us, and this has been a particularly difficult summer. I never remembered hearing so many complaints about Annandale Road, and certainly, it would be helpful if they saw a picture of how big it was, how big the vehicle is, how many people, knowing about the app system. I think all of that could alleviate some of these concerns. Okay?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I just want to mention that on your sheet, you don't mention your Sunday route. You just say Monday through Wednesday, through Thursday through Saturday. So I just, just to make that edit.
I apologize.
Okay.
It should be Sunday through Wednesday,
Okay.
Thursday through Saturday.
Okay.
I think someone else wanted to say.
Do we need a motion to receive the communication?
Yeah.
Refer to-
Yeah.
So I make a motion to receive the communication and refer it to administration for review?
Second.
Somebody had wanted to speak.
I'm sorry. We have somebody else from the public that wants to speak. Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Review and recommendation. Review and recommendation. So just review.
Your name, please, and address.
My name is Stephanie McLennan, and I live at 95 Annandale. I'm very concerned about bigger buses, not necessarily the Salve, but I am against most of the buses driving down, particularly the commercial buses coming down Annandale. They're clipping trees, they're blocking traffic. Times I can't even get into my driveway of not being able to because of previous owners. I recently just bought my house, and previous owners have a stone that I can't get moved yet, and to get into my driveway I have to swing wide. I almost got hit by a bus the other day on Annandale, and it was a little, disturbing. It happened at 2:39 on August 5th. It was a bus, and I asked him, I got out of my car and I said, who told you to drive down Annandale? Annandale is a no-through driveway. And they said, the PS. It's hard to, have this problem. It's become a huge problem. I've only lived there since April, and I see buses go down the road 5 and 6 times a day. It's disturbing. So, I'd be interested to see what Salve comes up with, because right now
We thank you
I'm
for
not
coming
convinced.
forward, and that is exactly the same description that most of the council members are receiving about the larger buses.
Well, I've written to Council Lynn and to
Okay.
Kate and said, sent them an email this week and said that I was very concerned.
Yeah. We'll have administration look into it with the police department, please.
And what I'll also do is I've submitted a letter of the dates and times and the instances
Okay.
that have happened that I'd like to submit.
Make a motion to receive.
Second.
There's a motion second to receive. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you can get
Thank
that
you.
to the clerk for recording. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council on this matter? Okay.
So, Madam Chair, I made a motion to receive the communication, submit to city staff for review, and a recommendation on the proposal
That's the
Second.
August 26th.
at our next meeting. Yeah.
Okay. There's a motion and second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Resolution regarding a bus medallion fee.
Thank you.
Councilor Leonard.
I'm going to clarify by saying this isn't exactly about a bus medallion fee, and it's been, co-sponsors of this are John Flores and Councilors Flores and Segley, and I'd like to read it because it's very appropriate considering the conversation we just had and the issue of busing. And in the early 1990s, City of Newport endorsed the Foundation for Newport plan to improve traffic flow and improve the city. And this plan could act as a beginning formation for a good transportation system. And whereas Newport has been inundated with unusually high traffic volume this year, which we all recognize and hear about, and whereas it's important that traffic flow for the convenience of the residents and tourists alike, as well as businesses that depend on tourists and residents not only to survive, but to employ people and to thrive. And whereas more and more residential streets are impacted by big commercial vehicles tied to tourism, deliveries, and so forth. Whereas it's imperative that Newport deal with the traffic impact as other tourism communities have come and have done so in the past. Charleston, South Carolina, Williamsburg, Virginia are examples, and they have shown that traffic vehicles can be minimized in residential zones to improve the quality of life and improve business success. Whereas a good and successful transportation plan may also provide a savings to residents in regard to expensive road improvements. Whereas Salve Regina University has implemented its own transportation shuttle to alleviate traffic and is desirous of improving its benefits to students and the community. And resolved that Newport research how to work with venues and tourism destinations to implement a user-friendly trolley system to move people throughout the city, in order to research the use of medallions for buses and mass transportation vehicles in order to lessen the traffic and also to provide additional funding for road repairs when needed, and that such research and staff recommendations are to be presented to the council no later than November 15th of 2015. I move passage.
Madam Chair?
Second.
So,
Is there a second?
second.
Okay. Yes, Counselor?
So what we're listening to tonight, and the lady from Annandale, I mean, she makes a very clear point that this situation has really reached a boiling point. So I would like to add an amendment to this resolution that really goes a little bit broader and examines some traffic management solutions that they have out there, and that could entail hiring a traffic engineer on a consultancy basis. So I would like to include that. I would also like to point that it's important that during this research process, that the input and collaboration of the local neighbors be taken into account, because that's going to be really critical. So I'd like to add that amendment, please.
Second.
There's a motion and second to add an amendment from Counselor Flores. Discussion.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Counselor.
I supported this resolution, not based on the medallions so much as just to shine a light on the issue of certain areas in the city where I think that the police department needs to be vigilant in making sure that these through streets are, that these no-through streets are no-through streets, and that we, you know, we just make sure that our residential areas remain safe. So that's what I supported it, and I'd like to see a plan come forward that possibly could reduce traffic and perhaps reroute traffic a little bit better throughout our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Yes, any other discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Counselor.
this resolution reminds me of, it was about 2 years ago, I think, the manager at the time, Howington, started a research project on the buses.
It was a bus registration review, if you will.
Did anything ever happen with that?
No, as well as, I did find in the file, which I found interesting, not that all this is interesting, by the way, that we did develop, and it was never endorsed by the council, but we did develop I guess a GPS mapping system or a nice brochure that dealt with and mapped some streets as to someone's opinion as to appropriate bus routes. And interestingly enough, you know, Annandale, which is already a no commercial street, is on there.
Listed
Some
as
of the
a-
other streets that are of concern that some of you have brought up in the last couple of months when we received complaints about bus traffic. And so I'm going to resurrect some of that information that wasn't fully developed by the administration. I do have a file on it, and I also have, I'm going to provide to you just out of, since I know you're all interested in it, the Foundation for Newport study, which doesn't necessarily help out here in terms of the immediate impact, but it's to a certain extent puts us on a little bit of a treadmill. You know, a lot of this, like the trolley system that you're mentioning, Kate, of course, that's contingent upon availability of mass parking somewhere.
That's right.
Which, in my mind, we don't necessarily have that ability yet, but interestingly enough, in the foundation study, it gets in, a major portion of that foundation study was having to do with the Pell Bridge ramp realignment, which, you know, we would like to suggest that we're moving towards. So there's a lot of pieces of, my point is, there's a lot of pieces of the puzzle here that we've already looked at to a certain extent, but we still need to move forward on and strive for. I recognize that the buses, every time that you iterate a complaint regarding buses or whatever, I know you're aware that we immediately forward them out to the appropriate department, and the police department, to the extent they have the resources, has been vigilant, and they are always vigilant in enforcing the traffic laws, but we'll put some special emphasis going forward immediately on these issues.
Madam Chair?
Can I just point out, in terms of the medallion system, which was explored many years ago when I
Right.
was on the council, any authority to do that would have to come from the state.
That's right.
And the state was not too thrilled.
Yeah, I mean, right now, buses, there is a
You know,
fee
so-
paid to the PUC by, you know, bus companies. That's through federal legislation, it's mandated. And so you're absolutely right. We'd have to look at some legislation. And then, of course, you're on that slippery slope of
Yeah.
a tax versus a registration fee. And
Right.
are we going to, is this really going to have any type of impact? The regulation itself of where the buses travel and the like would have an impact on the quality of life. I'm not so sure a registration program or a medallion program is going to garner any significant fees for us that's going to have an impact on what we would want to do with the monies, and that's, of course, related to our infrastructure. So we'll provide you the information, and I assume that, Kate, that the 2015 date you have in here is accurate?
Yep.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Madam
Yes,
Chair?
Counselor
I'd like to
Neville, then
finish.
Counselor
Thank
Leonard.
you. I asked about the bus registration that we started 2 years ago to make the point that my fear is with this resolution that it's a little vague and it covers many topics with no strong action item. So I guess if it's all over the place in terms of, do we want a trolley system or the bus or road repair or the traffic management? So in November, I guess I'm searching for, are we going to get a memo that deals with all four?
Yeah, I can tell you what I take
within
away.
a list of ideas that you would suggest we pursue and which ones we don't pursue?
Well, I'm not entirely certain what the final product is going to be in light of John's amendment. If the final product has in there consideration of hiring a traffic consultant, well, I'll come back to you in November and say, by November, probably before then, and tell you, yeah, there are things called traffic consultants, and if you want to go out for an RFP and provide the money, we'll do so. But that's one example. But what I take, the action items that I think that can be dealt with by November are going to be certainly the enforcement issues, I guess the dumbing down of the bus routes, addressing Annandale Road, I know Kate has a particular concern about Coxshaw, for example. We'll thresh out the issue of the bus registration and the medallions, which I'm more familiar with the medallions, the New York taxi cab medallions that go for $1 million a medallion or something ridiculous like that when they auction them off. And then these other little pieces will fall into place, and maybe just a recommendation. You know, we can talk with the neighbors as to what they like to see in terms of those impacted areas. But,
Madam
so
Chair?
we'll do the best we can within
Wait a
the
minute.
framework of the resolve, you know, and that's, I think, mostly addressing the regulatory issues, the enforcement issues, and a thought process as to I'll call it a bus registration program, what does that really mean?
What does that entail?
Yeah.
Leonard, Segley, then McLaughlin.
Okay.
Was it
I've been on this council for probably close to 20 years. The only endorsement of a traffic plan that I've seen was the Foundation for Newport plan. That was the only one that I ever saw endorsed, and it was a thought process. There wasn't a piece of that to implement what was there. It was the beginnings then, which it still should be now, and that was the point of this resolution, to deal with this resolution really is an umbrella that says we have a huge traffic problem that's getting worse year by year, and how are we going to deal with this impact? That was the point of the resolution. And in terms of the resolve, what the city manager has talked about, we have more and more tourism-type vehicles, mainly buses, than we've ever had. And if part of this is to go back and look at a system that can be funded with these same tourism dollars, then I think we owe it to the people who live here to look at it. And I know that part of this issue this year that's also impacting is all the new no turn on reds for red lights that have been placed in town that are creating bottlenecks on the corner of Memorial and Bellevue, Long Wharf and America's Cup, and the list goes on. And I've asked for over a month to call DOT and find out why these no turn on reds that are causing huge bottlenecks so that we can't move the traffic. And it doesn't seem like a big thing to me anyway, to look at it and say, if we have all these lines of cars going from Bellevue and Memorial all the way down to Reject Beach, that there's something wrong. And when you have a turn on red, they go quicker. So somebody changed the traffic plans, which I think would state DOT, to end out with a bigger problem than we have today. So I think we have to look at a long-term study or research, and I'm looking for input, and two of our counselors have agreed when they co-sponsored this. We need to look at how do we move forward. This has been sitting on the table for way too long, and too many people are impacted. And the more traffic we get, the more congested it is, and if we don't start looking at it, it's not going to get any better.
Madam Chair?
Councilor Segley, and then Councilor,
Flores.
And then Councilor McLaughlin.
and then Councilor McLaughlin.
I'd also think it might be a good idea to reach out to organizations like the Preservation Society and the Restoration Foundation, possibly to just say, you know, what is going on, and that some of their employees are telling people, that these bus drivers, that they can actually drive on Annandale. Or so I think, you know, I think that it's like they might not even be aware that these, you know, and the people who are giving the directions might not even be aware that those are non-through streets also. So I'm just saying maybe we should reach out to them and say that, you know, this is a warning, and please, you know, don't use these particular roadways.
Councilor Flores.
I agree with Councilor Leonard and Segley. I don't think, from my point of view, there's a lot of ambiguity. I think the objective is, by November 15th, come up with a solution that allows us to manage our traffic better, minimize congestion, and improve public safety. Now, it could very well be that come that date, we don't have the answers, because we just don't have the internal resources to come up with effective strategies. And then at that point, then that's when we hire a traffic engineer on a consultancy basis.
That's a good point, and that's where I was going with it. I can deal with the regulatory issues that are in place right now, but an overall scope of a study, something that's even more intensive than the Foundation for Newport study, which, you know, was somewhat peripheral, but I think is a good resource. You know, you're going to have to get someone that has the time,
right,
and we have to go to the expense to look at the overall issue in Newport, and that is the intensity of the traffic that you're
That was the
referring to, Counselor.
beginning. That was a thought
No, I
process.
understand that, but there's some good thought process in here. It's not completely, it's not developed to the nth degree.
No, it's not.
And in the final analysis, I hate to say it is what it is, but if there's an endemic problem, like, sorry, Gene, there's an endemic problem, and, you know, you can't put a size 10 foot in a size 3 shoe. And the people are coming in their cars. It's kind in this study. One thing I took issue with, and I'm just going to read you a sentence from it, because I think it didn't happen. That is, traffic congestion, noise, and air pollution make Newport a place to avoid rather than enjoy. I don't agree with that statement.
It was 1996.
I know that. It's likely that visitors will think twice before returning to Newport when they cannot enjoy or get the attractions that brought them here. That's not the case. People are coming because we have the wonderful resources that we have, and they come in cars. So, you know, your idea, the generic idea is to try to, and it goes back, you've been here 20 years, I've been here 30 years. It goes back to 30 years. We're trying to get the people out of the cars and into a different mode of transportation. Many years ago, we talked about the phrase was satellite parking.
Right.
But you think about it, where?
It might be in the north
But I
end
think the north end
someplace.
is, we are on the cusp of some things with the north end, moving forward with them, and that's something that we can incorporate into the whole thought process. This Foundation for Newport study talks about another visitor center, if you will, out in the north end, a second one, in which, you know, if you build it, they will come attitude. And it talks about a 1,000-car parking lot. It's not there. So, you know, we have a very endemic problem, and that is people are coming, people are visiting our wonderful attractions, but they're doing it by cars. And the bus issue is I haven't noticed the buses, but I'll take everyone's word for it because it's impactful to the neighbors, and we will address the enforcement aspect of it. If a bus is not supposed to be there, we will deal with that bus driver and bus company.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor McLaughlin.
Oh, is it my turn?
Sorry about
Yes,
that.
and then we're going to move on.
I could vote for this resolution if it actually said what's been said on this dais. Unfortunately, it doesn't. What's in the resolution is all over the place, and I don't think it really addresses the root causes. However, I want to say this has been a great conversation, and it's something that this council needs to do more of, which is to talk among itself about a problem. But, you know, the resolution talks to creating a trolley system, which I doubt you can put together the most inchoate and embryonic of plans in the next 75 days. A medallion system we've already discussed probably isn't something you can do without legislative assistance. And, you know, putting more money into the roadway system, you know, I talked about putting more money into fixing Broadway when we're passing the budget in June. Those aren't the root causes of what we're talking about here. You know, the root cause to a large extent is enforcement and understanding what's going on. You know, in some ways, there's a hint here of, well, let's get fewer tourists in Newport. They come here because they want to, because there's something really interesting. And I'm not sure this is going to fix the problem.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'm going to just say one more thing on this. The resolved on this is that Newport research some of these things. It's not jump in and do it. It's how do we get to a bigger picture? And it has to start somewhere.
Okay.
So it's not that, and unless, I'm just going to say, it's about how do we get there? Not dancing all over. There may be many, many ways to get there, and we're looking for input from staff of what is a process to move forward. And the beginnings are discussion, and then it goes from there to a bigger picture, because it's been sitting there for a long time.
Madam
Now,
Chair?
I'm not on the resolution, but I'm going to support it based on the resolve.
That's what
You
it's
know,
about, the
and let's
resolve.
get started and let's get something out there. Our city manager has indicated that he is going to take a look at the isolated problems that have been brought up to see if we can't get, you know, cooperation, better enforcement, that sort of thing. But all in all, I just think we need to move forward on this.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Councilor.
I'm also going to support it, but not because of the resolve, but because of the discussion that we had, that I think did make a number of good points, and I think the city manager understands the direction that the council is looking for.
Okay, are we ready to vote?
I think Councilor Flores had an amendment on the table which has not
Oh.
been voted on yet. And I
Oh,
wanted to-
about hiring a consultant with...
No, that's to explore a broader traffic management solution approach to this, which is kind of the condensed version of everything that we've been discussing here. essentially.
So your amendment
So
would-
do you think it's necessary?
Yes, I definitely do. So I think it eliminates some of the ambiguity. So the amendment is basically to expand, to research broader traffic management solutions.
There
I'll
was a
second that.
There's a
already did.
motion and a
I already
second.
had seconded it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
That was for the
Okay,
amendment?
That was the amendment.
That was for the amendment.
that was, yes, that was for the
Madam
amendment.
Chair, I make a motion to approve as amended.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion?
Madam Chair, I will only vote for this because of Council Flores's amendment.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Action number 5426,
Madam Chair, the administration recommends approval of the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management environmental land usage restriction associated with the Claiborne Pell Elementary School property as part of the closeout of construction for the project. Administration further states that this is a typical standard document for closeout of construction projects where environmental conditions exist. There is no fiscal impact. I move approval with accompanying resolution.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I just want to, ask the city manager to address, in the document Appendix G, it makes a reference. I just want to clarify, it refers to the Newport Public Schools as the owner. And we talked about this before the meeting, but that's wrong, right?
That's correct, it's
Right.
incorrect.
And the reason I ask it is because the school committee had a meeting last night in which there was some discussion about, if you will, ownership or responsibility of land on which a cell tower is located, and I think that's going to come back to us in some form. But my understanding is the city of Newport owns all of the property on which schools are located, and they are basically using them.
That's right. That's right.
Very well, thank you. Otherwise, I should be
Okay. Are we ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
action number 5427,
Madam Chair, the Finance Department recommends the council approve the transfer of $25,000 from council contingency account to the city council contract services account to fund the approved appropriation to the Newport Chamber of Commerce for the Regional Economic Development Initiative. I move approval with accompanying resolution.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Counselor?
I'm still looking for a statement of how this initiative aligns with the City of Newport's Economic Development Initiative. We are the only community that's funding this initiative that has an economic development initiative. The other communities do not. And going forward, we're going to have to answer that question as to how this aligns. And because I think we're going to be a major player, and lacking that question, I still can't support it.
Okay.
I
Are
can
we
answer the
ready?
question.
Any other? Okay, are we ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
2 opposed, 3 opposed, sorry. Passes 4-3.
action number 5428,
Yes, Madam Chair, the Department of Public Services recommends the award of bid number 16-007, road materials for each of the supplied materials as bid to the following 5 low bidders: Johnston Asphalt of Johnston, Rhode Island, P.J. Keating Company of Cranston, Material and Sand and Stone Corporation of North Smithfield, Richmond Sand and Stone of Richmond, Rhode Island, and J.H. Lynch and Sons of Peacedale, Rhode Island, for a maximum total expenditure of $115,000. Madam Chair, these items are currently budgeted. I move approval along with accompanying resolution.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to adjourn as council and convene as Board of License Commissioners.
Second.
Second?
There's a motion and second to convene as Board of License Commissioners. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the consent calendar in its entirety.
Second?
Second.
There's a motion and second to approve the consent calendar in its entirety.
Madam
Any
Chair?
discussion? Yes.
And in terms of Fastnet, I would like the application to
Not in the consent calendar.
coincide with the former vote for food service.
Point of order, Madam Chair, that's not on the
Doesn't
consent
apply.
calendar.
We're not there yet.
It's not on the consent calendar.
That's a separate item.
It's a separate item.
Madam Chair, we're still on the vote for
Oh.
the approval of the consent calendar in its entirety.
Do you need a second?
Second, please.
I thought there were
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Now,
Public hearing, liquor license expansion, Fastnet, Inc.
Madam Chair, Attorney Scott representing Fastnet, I would request that the council adopt Ms. Leonard's premature motion.
Yep, thank you. I'm hungry.
To,
Repeat. I'm sorry, what was your motion again, Council Leonard?
To coincide the application for expansion of the liquor license with what we approved for the food service and remove those 4 twosome tables.
second.
there's a motion and a second. Discussion, hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to close the public hearing and approve as amended.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to adjourn.